Ugh, dude, I'm trying to play the new Jingling Keys 8, the micro of transactions, but these liberal pedophiles keep adding black people into my games. Oh, listen, I don't know what you heard. I don't know what you think you heard, right? But you're not going to tell anyone about this. You know, if the wrong people hear about this, they could ruin me. You know what I mean? They could ruin my entire career. You know, I got as the big content creator slash streamer that I am. There's a lot of people who want my head on a spike. There's a lot of people who want to see me fail. A lot of people with these crab mentalities. You know what I'm saying? And the internet is ruthless. They'll crucify me. They'll have my head on a spike. Like, you know how the internet is. They'll twist my words. They'll take me out of context. Next thing you know, I'm on a Turkey Tom video. I mean, you know I'm not racist, right? I love black people. I think everyone should have one. As a friend! As a friend! Whew. Anyway, I mean, since you're already here, and we're already on this topic, why not just stay? You know, make yourself comfortable, and let's talk about the new Assassin's Creed game, Black Assassin's Creed Shadows, for exactly 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 44 seconds. But before I do that, I gotta transcend space and time real quick to make myself more comfortable. Ugh. All right, that's much better. All right, so I'm sure you have heard, but the new Assassin's Creed game is in some serious hot water. Their stocks are tanking. Everyone's hating on the game, ragging it on Twitter, ragging on it on Reddit, ragging on it all over the place. Just a lot of controversy surrounding it, right? It's just from one single trailer. This isn't unheard of. This has been seen countless times before. Game devs drop a stupid fucking trailer. Everyone thinks it's stupid, and they shit on it so. But people are really dragging this shit through the streets like it's Mussolini, right? It's just one of those days. It's one of those trailers. And there are two main issues, actually, well, three main issues. The first one is that it's an Assassin's Creed game. The second issue, and the more main issue that people are losing their minds over, right, is there are two protagonists of the game, and one of the protagonists is, well, black. Which, naturally, given that this is a game set in feudal Japan, which, of course, doesn't have black people, some people are upset about this, right? This character is, of course, supposed to be the mythical and legendary Yasuke, or, you know, black African samurai. So I'm going to, of course, full-on tackle this whole Yasuke thing in a bit, but right now there's some other stuff that I want to get to before I start surrounding the main controversy surrounding this game, the whole meat and potatoes. So I'm going to hold off on it for a second and just give, like, kind of an unbiased sort of summary of the situation. So in short, this figure has led to a lot of controversy surrounding him, mainly because his history is just really not well documented at all. There's not much that is known about him, and a lot of it's left up to speculation. And because of this has kind of caused a lot of doubt on the historian's part, and a lot of people doubting the kind of historical inaccuracies, the historical accuracy of Assassin's Creed and this game. And a lot of people just kind of blowing this off and saying they're, you know, forcing a black character in a Japanese game about Japan to be, you know, woke. And this, of course, brings me to the third issue that I honestly think is a lot more damning and is a lot more worth alarm. Is that proper sentence structure? Probably not. It's a lot more concerning, right? And that is, one of the historians is a creepy pedophile.
The state of Florida has asked us to disclose our sexual crimes to you. We were bad, but now we're good. Moving into your neighborhood.
Okay, so that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but you'll get what I mean in a second. If you haven't heard about this, which a lot of people are glossing over this, mainly focusing on the whole Yasuke thing, over, you know, I'll just point it as this, Ubisoft's strange choice of hiring a historian. As I'm sure you, of course, know, Assassin's Creed is a game that is based a lot around history. You are going through history at different time periods, in different eras, and different places in the world, right? And because of this, there, of course, needs to be historians. And the person they got for this game, their Japanese history expert, is this woman, Sachi Schmidt-Hori. I'm not exactly sure if that's correct on the pronunciation, but from here on out, I'm just going to call her Sachi. So this person has a bit of a strange academic history, I guess you could say. I don't even need to dig that deep. It's like very fucking surface level, and that's what's really, really weird about this. You can literally just search her name in Google, and you'll get some crazy results. This one right here is the one of the first results you'll find when searching for this person, and this is the Dartmouth directory, dartmouth.edu, arts and science faculty. Sachi Schmidt-Hori, who is an associate professor, has this little kind of bio here, right? I'm interested in investigating how gender, sexuality, corporeality, and power are represented in and negotiated in pre-17th century Japanese narratives and illustrations. My first book, Tales of Idolized Boys, Male-to-Male Love in Medieval Japanese Narratives. First of all, that's a fucking wild title. Just chiming in right here, it's a fucking wild title. The fact that this is a title of an actual book and it just came out of my mouth is insane. But let's move on. Let's move on, right? Maybe this book is a good read. Maybe it's got some interesting points. Is on medieval Chigo Monogatari, so in parentheses, Buddhist acolyte tales, which often depict romantic relationships between Buddhist priests and adolescent boys. Pause. Like, where do I start? Where do I start with this? And, you know, I could keep reading and just read the whole bio. You can read it for yourself. That's basically the gist of it. And my thought when I heard about this, I was just like, this is weird. But, you know, somebody's got to study this. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's got to study the pedophiles. Somebody's got to study the people with the weird brains, right? Somebody has to study these things. You know what I mean? And if we'd be in a much worse state in the world if we never studied them, never understood them, and it's good to understand things that are probably not so good. You know what I mean? But the thing is the way that this bio is written, and from what I gather of trying to find, you know, research for this to try and find what this woman's all about, from what I get, it seems like she is advocating for this, which is a little strange, a little alarming, and I really don't want to take her out of context or straw man here, but like I said, just from some of the things, some of the excerpts, it seems like that she's taking this in the perspective as this is some kind of alternative lifestyle, or something of that priests having sexual relations with adolescent boys is some sort of, you know, almost trying to lump it into the LGBT community, right? This is similar to like the MAP community that popped up a while ago. That shit's, I'm not going to get into that. You can look up those videos yourself about that whole thing if you don't know what that is. But it's not good. And this should definitely not be something that is almost lumped into the same category as the LGBTQ community. It is so much worse. It is so much worse. And from just this little quote, there's a little quote here that almost implies that this is, I'm just going to read it. These tales, quote, these tales challenge a host of normative and moral standards we internalize, including such ideas as sexual orientation, transgenerational sex, and sexual agency. And the thing is I really don't, personally, I really don't like to, I like to have as many facts or all the facts that I can find before making a judgment about someone, especially someone just randomly, I don't know, online. A lot of people throw shade, a lot of people take people out of context, and I would like, and I heard about this person, I heard about this situation, I heard about this is one of the historians they have for their fucking game, and I was like, this can't be all the facts, there has to be more to this, and it's just, no, this is as creepy as it seems. And like, I tried to look up the book, seeing if I can see any of her work, read it for myself, because, you know, the best place to get a source is, of course, from the person. If I want to know what she's all about, I should see it. The thing is like, her main book, this Tales of Idolized, this is a fucking crazy title, Tales of Idolized Boys. This book is, you know, 30 bucks, almost 30 bucks for a fucking paperback, and $70 for a goddamn hardcover. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying, just so I can know 100% exactly what her views are and what the fuck she's talking about. I'm not buying a $30 to $70 book that's gonna probably put me on a list. No thanks. And it's just like, there's a little about the book, right? And it's just, I'm just gonna read the whole thing because it's fucking crazy. In medieval Japan, 14th to 16th century, it was customary for elite families to entrust their young sons to the care of renowned Buddhist priests, from whom they'd receive premier education, I'm sure they did, in Buddhist sculptures, poetry, music, and dance. That seems lighthearted. That seems good, you know? Let's continue on. When the boys reached adolescence, some underwent coming-of-age rites. That doesn't sound as good. Others entered the priesthood, and several extended their education, becoming Chigo, or Buddhist acolytes. They're like the Catholic toga boys, essentially, from what I gather. Chicos serve their masters as personal attendants and as sexual partners. Pause. Hold. It's just like, look. I hate this so much. I hate this so much. It's, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to look. Somebody has to figure out what's going on in the minds of the demented and the deranged. You know what I mean? Somebody's got to look into the abyss. And we can't blame them for doing so. But this is alarming. Because you are not looking into the abyss. You are the abyss here. And to try and basically justify these priests, essentially from what I'm gathering, to justify these priests being pedophiles and touching little boys and doing deviant things to little boys, right? To try and sit here and justify that is just simply not okay. It's really not okay. At the end of the day, pedophilia is pedophilia, and under no circumstances should this be seen as acceptable. This is the exact same kind of shit that people criticize the Catholic Church for doing. People criticize the Catholic Church and make jokes all the time saying, oh, the Catholic Church, they're raping little boys. And it's almost the exact, maybe Buddhism and Catholicism isn't all too different at the end of the day. It's really not cool. It's not cool. But the thing that I hate so vehemently and dislike about this is that people like Sachi and, the MAP community, right, will almost use their delusions and perversions and use the LGBT community as a shield, right, as basically a way to protect themselves, saying, oh, you can't hate on us, we're part of the LGBT community, and basically using this community as, well, a shield, as I've said. And this is problematic for so fucking many reasons. Basically, love is love, and if you disapprove of it, you're a bigot, and trying to basically put themselves in this bubble with, the LGBT community. And it's really not the same. There's a very, very, very big fucking difference between two grown consenting men that have a relationship with each other, right? Versus one grown man in a position of power, such as, a religious figure, like a priest, and a child, an adolescent boy, who is in no power whatsoever, and it has no position to say no. There's a very, 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 very big fucking difference in those relationships, and it's very alarming. There's a reason statutory rape is still considered rape. You are in really no position to say no. Now, of course, like I said, I definitely do not know nearly as much about this topic as Sachi does. She studies this shit for a living. She makes a career off writing papers and books and stuff for this very strange, creepy, and oddly specific topic. So of course I likely will never know nearly half as much in this specific region. But the whole thing really just sounds alarming as hell to me, because of course the children are in no position to say no. And from what I gather, there aren't even the parents or anyone around. Not even anyone. From what it sounds to me, is that, well, it says it right here, quote, "It was customary for elite families to entrust their young sons to the care of renowned Buddhist priests." So essentially, these will, what it sounds like to me is, oh, hey, son, we're going to leave you with this creepy-ass priest for however fucking long, maybe a month, maybe a whole year, and you're not going to see us during that whole time. We'll see you in a fucking year, like Home Alone, left with Michael Jackson, man. It's which, of course, this implies that, the parents just aren't even around. Oh, yeah, we're going to leave you with this creepy-ass priest. Ignore the fact that he's completely pitching a tent in his pants right now. He's just excited to see you. But yeah, it's wow. That is really not something you should be perpetuating as a good thing. As, what was the exact words here? As, quote, challenge a host of normative and moral standards we internalize. But of course, I'm not surprised that someone this bad shit insane does exist. But what I am surprised off is the fact that Ubisoft would hire someone like that. Out of all of the people that Ubisoft could have gotten for their AAA game, out of all of the historians, there are thousands of people that study Japanese culture, study Japanese history, that know just as much, if not more than this woman, that are just as qualified, if not more than this woman. And out of all of these fucking people, they hire this person, who all of her work is on this weird, creepy groomer Dalai Lama shit. And it's weird as fuck. It's really so many people who know about this topic, who have, degrees and have written papers and books about this shit, There are thousands of them, and this is the one you pick. That says a lot, and that's kind of concerning, right? Someone like this who has these ideas and these thoughts should probably be outed in society. Pedophilia and sort of just like all this like weird grooming behavior is like pretty much the one big fucking no on the internet. Like it's probably the biggest fucking career ender you could have, to be honest. Being a pedophilia and putting your wee around kids or doing anything like that, it's probably the one biggest no on the internet. All this like weird groomer shit, biggest fucking no. That's like the one thing that can end your career. Almost fucking nothing else can. You can say the N-word, and as long as you just stick through it and don't make a big deal out of it, people will forget in like a week or two, right? You can dox people. You shouldn't, but that's just like a general recommendation. It's the one thing that is almost impossible to come back from is grooming or doing anything remotely creepy around children. That it really makes you question the execs at Ubisoft that they decided to go out of their way to hire the woman who writes the books about challenging, what the fuck was it again? Challenging normative relationships or whatever the fuck, by writing books about priests taking advantage of little boys. That's great. That's amazing. That's a great image, Ubisoft. Well done. Now, I'm sure the reason she was hired was, or I hope the reason she was hired was something along the lines of her, LGBTQ activism and her sort of like progressive sexuality ideas. And they just thought, well, she seems pretty progressive, so this would be, of course, look good for us to have some kind of, LGBTQ activists or whatever, right? Someone with progressive sexual ideas or all that jazz, and hired her solely on her beliefs, right? That's what I imagine is why they would have hired her over, any normal person with normal ideas that just likes Japanese history and studies it thoroughly. But the thing is that is very concerning is there's no fucking way they didn't see the core of her work, the center of her work being about, of course, this weird groomer shit, and there's no fucking way they didn't see that shit and be like, this is kind of weird. Do we want someone with, these kind of beliefs on our team? Of course we do. I don't know. It's crazy. Nobody saw the situation. Nobody saw the situation and thought, yeah, this is weird. This is alarming. This person, not only that, but they just thought, yeah, this is the person we want to hire. This is great. This is amazing. Greenlit this immediately. Fucking insane. Absolutely insane. Look. I wouldn't consider myself a real conservative person, a real deeply conservative person. I don't browse any forums. I don't partake in any conspiracy theories. I would consider myself fairly level-headed. And I usually don't go to any kind of extremes without solid facts, right? But the thing is, maybe, just maybe, QAnon is onto something with specifically the whole cabal of pedos running the world and whatnot, because it just seems like, the government's run by pedos, the church is run by pedos, Hollywood / the entertainment industry is run by pedos, the music industry is run by pedos, and it seems like every fucking day, every single day, someone, like every single week, someone is outed as a pedo. It's just like, oh, go to sleep. Can't wait to see who the fucking pedo is of this week. It's at this point, it's like a the weekly cartoon. You know what I mean? It's just like once every week, it's just like, oh, who's the pedo of the week today? It's either some kind of big YouTuber, content creator, Twitch streamer, or something, some big celebrity, some figure in the government. It's deeply concerning. It's like every week, someone in some position of power in some high place is outed as a pedo, and it's at this point, it's more surprising when someone isn't a pedophile. If they came out with hard, clean proof that someone isn't a pedophile in Hollywood or some kind of high place, then I would be genuinely more surprised than if they are. I become so jaded and disillusioned to the whole thing. It's just like, oh, Drake's a pedophile. I can believe it. I'm not going to, I just assume they were all pedophiles at this point. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not surprising anymore when someone gets outed. I don't remember the last time, I remember Justin Roiland got outed as a pedophile, and so many people are like, what? How could this be? And I'm like, I don't know, it just is. It's just like, this is the state of the world right now. At this point, it's more surprising if you aren't diddling kids in a position of power. It's mind-boggling. It's crazy. But it's like, yeah, Drake's a pedophile. Oh, didn't really seem like news. I thought we assumed they were all pedos. I don't fucking know. But yeah, the world we live in is fucking insane. And I don't know. At this point, it's guilty until proven innocent for me. Anyone can be diddling kids. Anyone can be diddling kids these days. I swear to God, the elite use them like currency. I'm convinced. The elite use them like currency. Transactions with money? No. How many kids you got to sell me? But yeah, that's about it. And Ubisoft is no better. Ubisoft is no better. I would not be surprised if in a couple years someone there gets outed for grooming allegations. That would be fun. I'm gonna place my bets right now. Anywho's. This is all fun and dandy. This is all great and all. Very fun stuff. But a lot of people are just kind of glossing over it and ignoring the whole situation, and there's not a lot of traffic to it, because I guess this is just a person who's accepted into society now, which is even crazier to think about. But I think most people don't really care, because they're distracted by, of course, the black man. So I already gave a brief rundown of this guy, and sort of gave you a summary of the situation. But now I'm actually going to go in depth, really wrestle this thing. And basically, the meat and potatoes of this controversy is there are two protagonists in the game. And the main one that people have an issue with, of course, is Yasuke, right? Yasuke is, of course, this mythical black samurai. He's been seen in pop culture. He's been around. And I've heard about him before this whole situation. I've heard about him, the black samurai, but I never really knew anything about him. I didn't even know his name. I didn't even know he had a name. I thought he was just, I thought he was a real person. There was a black guy in, Japan, and I just thought, hey, he just came to Japan, he studied the way of the blade, and was like the original Dragon Ball fan or something. I knew little to nothing about this guy, and I was never really curious or tried to, until this controversy came up. And then I was like, since everyone's talking about this, since I'm looking through tweets, I'm looking through stuff, and some people are saying he's a samurai, some people saying he wasn't, there's a lot of just information throwing around, and I'm completely ignorant about the situation, and I know nothing. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to do some research. So I started doing some digging, I started looking up some stuff. I started looking at Reddit posts, tweets, I read his wiki page, which, by the way, his wiki is a fucking battlefield right now. Like, there are bullets, blood, and bodies everywhere. I also watched a couple YouTube videos as well. Credible sources, I know, but basically just doing a couple basic, things to keep myself informed and figure out what the fuck's going on. Who the fuck is this guy? What is his story? What's he all about? What's the truth? What actually happened? And from all my research that I did, from my understanding, from what I found with my freshly opened eyes, is that, from what I have learned absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing about this guy. Because the truth is we know dick all about him. He has almost no relevance. He's done almost nothing. We don't know jack shit about him. We don't know if he was or wasn't a samurai. There's not even any solid proof to suggest he was. There's no proof to suggest he wasn't. We don't know, exactly where he's from even. Some sources say Sudan. Some say Mozambique. A lot of them say Mozambique. It seems to be the most common answer. Some just say West Africa. Some just say, at this point, just like, fuck it. Somewhere in Africa, somewhere with dark-skinned people. He was probably one of those. Just pick one. And he was one of those, certainly. And it's I don't even know where the fuck they're getting this idea from, because it just seems like we have no idea at all, and people are just theorizing. Essentially just making shit up and speculating what they think, where they think this guy came from. So we have absolutely no idea where he even came from. We don't even know exactly what his real name is. I don't think Yusuke is his real name. It's a lot of the sources seem to make it unclear if that is his real name. And a lot of the sources say that, of course, he started out in, he was a slave from Africa. He came to India. He did some shit with the Jesuits or some bullshit, which that, of course, means, if all of that is true, if he was in India for a lot of his early life and, was a slave and was along with the Jesuits and whatnot, before he came to Japan, Yusuke is certainly not his fucking real name. And we don't even know what his real name is or what it could have been or any shit like that. We don't dick all about this guy. We don't know even how he died, where he died, what he would have died from. We don't know shit. None of it seems clear. Absolutely fucking none of it. This guy could easily have been multiple fucking people for all I know. It just seems like 90%, there's like 10% of this seems like, oh, here's some information about some black guy who was in Japan at this time period. And the other 90% is, we don't know fucking dick all, we're just going to make a bunch of shit up. And the only consistent things that I can seem to find between all these stories is, all we seem to really know for sure is, yes, there was some black guy who was some kind of weapons bearer or whatever you want to call him, bodyguard, enforcer, who worked under Oda Nobunaga. That seems to be the gist of it. That seems to be all we really, from what I gather, all we really know for certain. It's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of bullshit, a lot of we have no fucking idea, and we're just gonna make shit up because it seems cool. That's from what I understand. And the main source of this sort of, we're just gonna make shit up because it looks cool, and the main source of a lot of what people, this idolized version of Yasuke, and the one that sort of this Assassin's Creed game is taking place on, is this book called The African Samurai, right? And this seems to be the main source of this retardation. And like I said, from what I gather is most of this shit is just made up. But the thing is it of course could not be made up. It of course could be real. but we have no fucking idea, because the truth is this is not a very well documented individual, and we really just don't know a lot about him, and we likely never will. And that's that. That's really the end of that. So it's really up to the imagination on who this fucking guy was, and that's really the truth. And kind of the problem here, and the issue with this character, of course, is the big thing is people are saying he wasn't a samurai. He wasn't a samurai. He was never a samurai. He was a lowly retainer. He was a servant, slave, blah blah blah. He didn't do shit. And that's the main fucking thing. People are getting really, really fucking wound up about this whole if he was or wasn't a samurai. That's the big thing. And like I said, we actually don't. It seems like we don't know. But the truth is it's most likely, probably a good 99% chance he was not a fucking samurai. In all honesty, it likely does not make sense for him to be samurai. Now, given I am not a Japanese culture connoisseur, I don't know jack shit about Japanese culture. I don't go out of my way to study all that shit. But from my understanding, the way I understand it is samurais are a bit like us Westerners' knights, right? That not every soldier was, of course, a samurai. That samurai was a sort of honorary title often given to nobility, just like how knights are. But a lot of times we just kind of put it under an umbrella term and just say, oh, Japanese warriors of feudal Japan, we all just call them samurai, when in reality they weren't. Same way how, medieval Dark Age era soldiers, we all kind of just called knights, right? When in reality almost none of them were. Very few of them were, because you had to be knighted to be a knight. But the thing is it doesn't matter what the problem with a character like Yasuke, and someone with such a lack of history, to be honest, just like we don't know what the fuck this guy's deal was. The problem with someone like this is it doesn't matter what you say, people are going to be pissed off. People are going to be pissed off, no matter what you say. If you say he was a samurai, you're going to get the situation we're having now. A bunch of people coming down and being like, what the fuck? He wasn't a samurai. He was a retainer. He likely wasn't a samurai, blah, 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 blah. Never a samurai, right? You will get so many people getting fucking bent out of shape over that. But if you say the opposite and say he wasn't a samurai, if you make a point to say he was a retainer, right? If you make a point to say he was a servant or whatever, he was never a samurai, then you're going to get another group of people who are going to get all bent out of shape and butthurt and say, oh, he was a samurai though, and you're only saying this because you're diminishing his accomplishments because he's black, or something along those fucking lines, right? It does not matter what you fucking say. With someone like this, you're going to be in the wrong. You're just going to be in the wrong. Because it seems to me that we have no fucking history on this guy, and people instead just make up what they want to fucking believe. And the problem with that is it leaves it to a point where we don't know what is true, we don't know what is false, and there is no way to know what is true and what is false. So everything might as well be true and false at the same time. It really just depends what you want to believe. Do you want to believe he was a samurai? Voila, he's a fucking samurai. Do you not want to believe he's a samurai? You don't like him? Fuck him, he's a retainer. It's really left up to interpretation, and that's what causes a lot of the fucking problems. The truth is we don't, to me at least, unless someone can provide me clear, solid evidence that he was or wasn't a samurai, just 100% flat out proof, which I haven't seen from the multiple YouTube videos I watched. Like I said, not credible sources. I didn't go through archives and weird shit, right? Just a surface level, did some quick Google searches, looked through YouTube, saw what people thought about him. From what I've seen, we have no solid proof to say he was or wasn't a samurai. So unless you can provide that for me, I'd be glad to say and correct that I'm wrong. But it seems to me, we know nothing about this guy. He might as well just be a made-up fucking person because we know that little about him. All we know for a fact is there's some black guy who was some kind of servant for Oda Nobunaga. Essentially it. That's essentially it. And he was some sort of weapon bearer, you could say. Some kind of enforcer or bodyguard or whatever. And here's the part where I defend Ubisoft here. I know. You're not supposed to do that. We hate Ubisoft. Boycott Ubisoft. They're the devil. But I'm actually going to take the side of Ubisoft on this controversy. So please hear me out before you churn my balls in the butter, whatever you fucking savages like doing.
Why do I enjoy punching homeless people? It's not for the reason you'd expect.
I actually think that having Yasuke in the game isn't necessarily a bad thing. Having him be the protagonist isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's fine. And I really think we shouldn't drag Ubisoft through the mud for this before the product is even out, before we even know exactly what is going on, exactly what this story is. All we have is a 4-minute trailer. And people are already getting out their pitchforks and torches and going fucking crazy over this. You look at any comment section, look at the YouTube comment section for this trailer, look at the Twitter, look at anything. People are reverting, thousands of years of evolution and just fucking going mad over this shit. And it's insane. And I think we should take a second and not instantly just fucking lose our minds over this, and wait for what Ubisoft is cooking, right? A lot of people, I think the main reason, or at least the main excuse that people are using to get mad over this, and using to, of course, point fingers and get angry, is that it's historically inaccurate, and that they're going woke and giving spotlight to, of course, a person in history that really doesn't deserve it, just so they can, put black people in a game where black people shouldn't be, which is, of course, feudal Japan, a place with no fucking black people. But here's the thing. Yasuke was a real figure. That is not in doubt. There are documented records of this. We have these, right? But the main thing is... The main issue that most of these people are coming up with is, of course, it's historically inaccurate. No shit it is. It's a fucking Assassin's Creed game. Never before in my life have I ever seen the historical accuracy of a fucking Assassin's Creed game matter as much as now. Because it really... Anyone who really knows, like, about Assassin's Creed... Anyone who knows Assassin's Creed knows that it isn't always the most historically accurate game. They aren't terrible. Like, it's not like they just are constantly making shit up. But it's not uncommon for them to get even a lot of really trivial shit wrong that, you know, a lot of normal people would fucking know or wouldn't be too hard to find out with just a quick Google search. They're not just, like, 100% historically accurate. And there are plenty of videos that you can look up online about, you know, the historical accuracies and inaccuracies of Assassin's Creed. And like I said, for the most part, Assassin's Creed does do a pretty good job. They get general things down. But like I said, a lot of times, just very stupid, fucking trivial shit, they'll have completely wrong. Usually it's just really small stuff like, oh, this weapon here, this weapon or armor here, they wouldn't have had at this time period, in this era, in this place. Or other trivial shit like, oh, this staircase or building was not here at like this exact time period. It was actually like 5 years later or some shit. Like sometimes they're just like, oh, this is, you know, the general area of this time period. We'll just pop this shit here. But it's like at the exact moment of the game, this didn't happen for like another 5 years or something like that. And they'll get that with like people's deaths and stuff like that, like real historical figures. It's like, oh, this guy didn't die for like 10 years later. Or just really trivial shit like that where it's like, you know, okay, sure, that's wrong. But sometimes they, of course, need to... They of course need to change up characters and events and things like that in order to have a cohesive story or gameplay, right? For certain things in certain parts of these games, of course, they're going to need to sacrifice some historical accuracy for the sake of the story/gameplay. So oftentimes messing with characters and events or embellishing them in order to make, you know, the story or gameplay work as effectively as possible. As that takes priority. At the end of the day, they are trying to make a good game first with good gameplay, and the second priority should, of course, be a good story. And the third priority is, of course, to make it as historically accurate as possible. But if they need to sacrifice some of those historical accuracies for the sake of the gameplay, or the game itself, or the story that they are trying to tell, then that is fine as well. An example of this, there are plenty of examples of this, but one of them is Blackbeard from Black Flag. He's one of your allies in the game, and one of the main allies in the game, and he's generally a pretty swell dude, right? And one of the main things is there's this mission where you hold a couple people hostage in order to get medicine. And now it's been a fucking long time since I played Black Flag. But from what I remember is you were trying to get medicine for the sick people of Nassau, right? One of the sort of like pirate city or whatever, right? Basically trying to get medicine to help for like charitable needs to help sick people in need, right? This is actually a real event. This is something that actually happened, that Blackbeard held a couple of hostages in order to try and leverage them in order to get, of course, money as well as medicine was one of his main demands, was he wanted medicine. This is, of course, a very strange demand, but even to this day, we don't know why he wanted this medicine. We don't know the motive. We don't know what was going on. But I'm going to take a wild guess and say, you know, Blackbeard, it probably wasn't for charitable deeds. He probably, in all honesty, in real life, probably wasn't that swell of a dude. He probably wasn't that good of a dude. He was a pirate, basically a bandit of the sea. And in all honesty, the most likely reason he needed that medicine is for himself and his crew. You know, I've never been a pirate. I've never been pirating or privateering. But from my understanding it is not the most healthy and sanitary and hygienic of professions. And it is very common for diseases to arise from that environment. Being trapped with a bunch of fucking smelly, vagabond sea dwellers that haven't showered in months, and God knows what they're touching, on the sea. A moist, damp, watery abyss, right? It's a recipe for all kinds of unsavory things, and, you know, if one person's sick, what are you gonna do? If one person's sick, especially with just how the quarters are, everyone's likely going to get fucking sick. The very tight space, not a lot of room, not exactly the most hygienic of professions, from my understanding, right? The reason I bring this up is that these games, and not just Assassin's Creed, but pretty much any piece of historical media, right, needs to stretch or mess with the truth a bit sometimes, or take some creative liberties, especially when we don't really have a lot of information on the scenario, in order to make a compelling and interesting story. This is not an uncommon thing. It's seen all the time. Because a lot of times, the truth is history is not as interesting as fiction. Let's put it that way. A lot of times, the story you can tell is a lot more interesting when you embellish it a bit, add a bit of fiction, and basically try to make these historical events sort of fit your story and narrative as best as possible. Assassin's Creed really is as historically accurate as something like, Shakespeare, like the tragedy of Caesar or Macbeth, where it's like, sure, yeah, some of the people might be real, some of the people might have existed, some of the events might have happened, but, overall, that's, in all honesty, very much not how it went down, likely at all. There's a lot of creative liberties there, and the interactions and whatnot are very different. And of course, things need to be embellished, need to be modified, need to be changed in order to best fit the story. And this goes for almost any historical piece of entertainment. There's a lot of kind of historical entertainment medias that aren't always 100% accurate. There's millions of these, right? And I think the important thing to know is that at the end of the day, these are primarily for entertainment, and sometimes these stories aren't always the most entertaining. So, of course, they need embellishment, they need to be touched up, they need to be seasoned and spiced. But, of course, this tarnishes the historical accuracy of this. But the important thing is, I think, for people to, of course, know that these aren't 100%, these aren't the most historically accurate. And never once did I ever, really take anything from Assassin's Creed at, face value. I think the most important thing is to try and make sure people don't get the misconception that they're getting a fucking history lesson out of this. But, like I said, going to a game like Assassin's Creed or something along those lines for a history lesson to be informed of history is fucking wild to me. That just seems crazy. I could just imagine someone citing fucking Assassin's Creed in a college paper as their source. It's my source, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Fucking this guy says this shit, and it's just instant F. Get the fuck out of my class. But like I said, take all of it with a grain of salt. Never once have I sat there and been and just taken something Assassin's Creed said at face value. Never once did I think to do that. I've never held their historical accuracy in high regard. Never should I. And I've never done so for any video game. Like I said, because a lot of times there needs to be some stretching of the truth. There needs to be some fiction to be created. There needs to be some things to make certain things more interesting, which is understandable. And what's important is they leave some kind of disclaimer, some kind of notification to let people know this, which, of course, Assassin's Creed does. When you boot up the game, it's had this disclaimer since, I believe, the very first game. It does have a disclaimer disclaiming that it's not completely accurate. Now, it's kind of loosey-goosey, and, you can make the argument that it's it's talking about the animus shit and, their whole Assassin's Creed lore, the Templars and the Assassins. Of course, all that shit is not real, right? And while I say historical accuracy, the better word to use is probably authenticity, right? How authentic is it? How authentic is it to the real world? To basically just discredit and throw to the side all the animus shit and the ancient gods or whatever, and the fucking Templars and the Assassins and all that shit. It's the word you want to use is authenticity, but I've been using historical accuracy. I'm probably going to keep using it because it makes me sound smarter. But most likely, if we were to use Occam's razor, the most likely outcome for Yasuke and his who he was most likely just a servant or a slave, a retainer for Oda Nobunaga, who was basically acquired as nothing more than an oddity. Oh, look at this 6-foot black man that I have. How imposing and powerful he is. He's as strong as 10 men, and he has a penis the size of a horse's. You want to see him fuck my wife? Here you go. Let's all fucking watch that. I know that's I know that's kind of a thing in Japanese culture where they fuck each other's wife. I'm sure Oda had him fuck his wife in front of all of his friends. Some part of that doesn't seem to be surprising to me, but I'm not going to think about that too much. But yeah, I'm sure he was mainly just an oddity acquired, and he probably because of we know he was probably at least 6 feet. He was big. 6 feet is fucking huge, especially for the people at Japan at the time, at feudal Japan, which I believe the average height is, somewhere around 5 feet, 5'2" for a male. So he would be a fucking giant. So I'm sure he did teach him how to fight, trained him, had him trained at least a little bit. Of course, he didn't train him himself, and learned, basic combat, right? And we do have images of a black man sumo wrestling and stuff like that, which a lot of people speculate is likely Yasuke. So it's easy to believe that he was trained. He didn't know how to fight. And was used as some kind of enforcer / bodyguard for Oda Nobunaga, and likely was never a samurai, and probably just fucking died in uneventful death that people really just don't care to remember, because it really wasn't that important, because the truth is all Yasuke likely was just some kind of exotic trophy or item for Oda Nobunaga. And I think if Assassin's Creed really leans into that, if the new game really leans into that, and that's what I'm saying, that there could be an interesting story to be told here, that he is nothing more than an oddity to his master. He's not even a real soldier or samurai or anything like that. He is just, his authentic black man. Then that could be something really interesting and worth telling. Could be a very interesting story. And like I said, this is most likely the reality. Most likely what occurred. The thing is it's using Occam's razor. It's no fun. It's no fun. That's not fun. That's not tantalizing. And the truth is, And if, of course, we used Occam's razor for the same thing, for the Blackbeard thing, him needing the medicine, like I said, most likely reason he needed the medicine is for himself and his crew. They were probably sick. There was probably pestilence going around. They needed some kind of fucking cure for that. Well, hold some guys for ransom, get some medicine from it. He probably wasn't doing charitable deeds. And it's likely a similar thing. But when you change it up a bit, when you do something kind of out of the ordinary, it's very interesting. It makes the plot a lot more interesting, of course. It gives more character depth, and you can play around with the character a bit more, and turn, a ruthless pirate into a different kind of figure, take a different take on him, on a character that's almost renowned as a villain in history, such as Blackbeard. Like I said, I think this story could definitely be something. This story could definitely be something interesting if done right, as long as Ubisoft isn't too preachy or obnoxious with this. I think leaning into the whole aspect of him being an oddity, him being a slave, him being almost a trophy to this daimyo, could be something worth leaning into. But it's, like I said, if done right, it could be a very interesting story. It could be definitely something worth telling, a unique story that couldn't be told with any other figure in history. However, they're likely going to fucking drop the ball on this. I really don't trust them to do this story justice. They're likely going to drop the ball on this. It's likely going to be fucking stupid. I have no trust in modern Ubisoft. I have no trust in modern Assassin's Creed to write anything good. And to be honest, I just don't really fucking care that much. And at the end of the day, it's a fucking video game. Let the artist tell the story that they want to tell. And to, like I said, get fucking bent out of shape over this is kind of just dumb. It's kind of ridiculous. And historical accuracy should not be more important than, the story or the gameplay. And if they can take this historical figure that's shrouded in mystery and ambiguity, and make a story unique out of him, make something out of him that has, never been made before. And I know there's like a Netflix show and shit like that, but there's no game about this guy, right? I'm saying a game about this guy, a story about this guy that hasn't been told from a unique perspective, then I think that's something worth telling. And we shouldn't fucking riot and lose our shit. And before we've even seen the product. We don't know this story. We don't know what's going on. We got a 4-minute fucking trailer, and people are losing their shit. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy how all of a sudden now historical accuracy is just the most important thing to the Assassin's Creed series. When, never before was it that big of an issue when they've, had historical inaccuracies. And now as soon as you put a black man on screen, it's just people lose their fucking minds. It's insane. People just go crazy and are like, oh, I'm not gonna buy Assassin's Creed. # boycott Ubisoft. Blah blah blah. And it's like I said, it's crazy that it's just now historical accuracy is the most fucking important thing. And no gameplay has been released. Nothing else other than this trailer has really been announced. We know nothing about the story. We know nothing about the gameplay. No gameplay has been released, but in all honesty, the gameplay is likely going to be absolute dog shit, and is just not going to be good.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
I've played every single Assassin's Creed, except for the new one, Mirage, is the only one I haven't played, which is the last one that just came out. Every single Assassin's Creed in the series. I've played every fucking one of them. And like I said, the recent one, I've had no motivation, no desire, no will at all to play it. If it goes on sale for less than $10, maybe I'll fucking buy it. And, but I just don't have the time for a fucking Assassin's Creed game, and I just really don't care to use my valuable little bit of fucking time that I have to play a shitty game, for a shitty franchise that I just don't really have the motivation to care about. And the last recent games that I like to call the new age Assassin's Creed games, right? Ever since Origins and Beyond. Origins and Beyond have taken like a complete heel turn in a different direction, and it's just, those games, they just aren't fun. They're not good. I don't like them, and they have no creativity at all. They have no resemblance of identity, and have really just lost, just completely, don't even feel like Assassin's Creed games anymore. They really don't. They don't feel like Assassin's Creed games at all. And this is just a massive common problem across the gaming industry as a whole, and even media as a whole, that we've really entered what I believe is a creative dark age, right? Media is just, it's all video games and media are sort of just kind of turning into this one big homogenous blob of just mid, right? But I think the root of the problem is that people keep buying these shitty fucking games. People keep buying these shitty legacy games that just steal your fucking money and have no soul in it, that just don't care, and a lot of times are just buying these games not for the gameplay. It seems to me that people don't actually care about the gameplay or even the story. It used to come a point in my life when I was a lot younger that there were two kinds of people. People who care about the gameplay and people who care about the story, right? And I'm a person who usually prefers more the gameplay. I don't care too much about the story. If there's an interesting story, sure, I'll tune in. But a lot of times, if the story isn't interesting, I don't really care. As long as the gameplay is good, I'm hooked, right? And there's a lot of people who are kind of the other way around. They don't really much care for the gameplay. It's more for the story. Like, for example, my brother's like that. My brother has played through the entire Final Fantasy series because he swears up and down that the story is immaculate. It's fucking amazing. I couldn't do that shit. I can't stand RPGs because I think the gameplay is dry as hell. I don't want to play fucking menu simulator. Fuck that. That's not for me. But he's the exact opposite. He's in it for the story. And, you know, that's fine. And I used to look down on people who it's like, oh, you're not a real gamer. You're only in it for the story. But now it's come to a point where I think there's a lot of people who play video games not for the story and not for the gameplay, but because it's the thing to do, that are distracted by these jingling keys and fucking bright lights and Fortnite Battle Pass skins and all this other shit, fucking just cheap bullshit, right? And buy games merely for the title, and that is why that these games like Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty keep getting churned out. These shitty fucking legacy games that have no soul, that have no creative drive, that don't even resemble even remotely what they used to be. The new Assassin's Creed, these new age Assassin's Creeds that I call them, aren't even remotely close to the old ones. They're not even remotely close to first couple Assassin's Creed. That's kind of these new age games. It's a lot of jingling keys. It's a lot of just stupid shit to pretend that there's more than there actually is, that there's more than you're actually getting. And, ooh, look, a big open world, wow! And it's sickening. It's sickening, it's not fun, and every game has slowly sort of just become the same generic shitty game. And these new Assassin's Creeds don't even resemble the old ones. Don't even resemble what Assassin's Creed used to be. He said, and at this point, we've been through 4 fucking games with the same goddamn issue. 4 Assassin's Creed games with the same goddamn issue. And like I said, I haven't played Mirage, but I doubt it's any better. Ubisoft can't help themselves. I'm sure it has a fucking level system. I'm sure it's just as shitty as the old ones, as the last 3 ones. I doubt there's anything unique about Mirage that the other 3 don't have. But the sad part is, like I said, we've been through this cycle 4 fucking times, and nothing's changed. People are still buying it. Hell, I bought up until Valhalla, and the funny thing is, they keep doing this, and they keep getting away with this, and people keep fucking buying it, but as soon as you put a black man on screen, people lose their fucking minds. As soon as you put a black guy in a place, of course, he shouldn't be, right? People lose their fucking minds. Now we're going to boycott Ubisoft. Oh, Ubisoft's the devil. Kill Ubisoft. And it's like, you didn't do this before? And you got no idea on the story. There's no story. There's no fucking gameplay. We have no idea. The gameplay could be the best fucking thing ever. This could be the greatest gameplay. They could have really went to the grindstone and got the best game designers and really thought about this and made fucking 4D chess. Every interaction you have is 4D chess with the best fucking combat, the best gameplay, realistic feel, the greatest fucking thing ever, with the most intricate and amazing story. But the game isn't even out yet. It's a 4-minute trailer that tells us nothing about the game. All it tells us is the protagonists and the setting. That's it. That's all we know. And people are losing their fucking minds. And this is enough to boycott them after 3 just dry, bland, stale fucking stories that aren't very creative, that have completely lost the plot, that are aimless, going absolutely fucking nowhere, as well as, you know, just grindy fucking gameplay that leads you to fucking nothing. And trust me, I know it's grindy. I played all of Assassin's Creed Odyssey on hard mode, which literally does fucking dick all but make the enemies have more health for no good reason. And I even bothered to go out of my fucking way to do the stupid, like, the thing where you hunt the like mythical creatures, like the Medusa and the fucking the like Minotaur and shit. I even did that, like the post-game content. That shit it's so fucking dumb. It's just so fucking dumb. And all the enemies are retardedly bullet spongy. It's grindy as all hell, and there's arbitrary level caps for shit. And it's the same fucking thing each game with this dry, stale, wannabe Souls-like gameplay, and yet you people still keep buying it. And now for a game where we don't know the story, we don't know the gameplay, we don't know anything, the moment a black man's on screen, you guys lose your fucking mind. Like I said, I haven't played Mirage, I don't care to play Mirage, I don't care to play these new Assassin's Creed games, I've become apathetic to the franchise. Unless the game really does something, like, wow, to surprise me, unless this is the greatest fucking game to come out in, you know, like, a while, right? Like, 10 years. Unless this is the next Red Dead Redemption 2. Unless Assassin's Creed can produce that for me, I'm not going to play this series probably ever again. And I just, the last time I think I ever had fun with an Assassin's Creed title was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That was the only title I think I actually had fun with Assassin's Creed in. And really the only reason I had fun with that title was because it was basically just an Arkham knockoff. It was, you know, an Arkham knockoff. Just cut and dry. Just like how the new ones are Souls-like knockoffs. Just like how Valhalla is just like pretending to be fucking Sekiro and shit, where it's got like a posture system and you're gonna like posture break the enemies and just, it's fucking stupid. And like I said, Syndicate was the last game I had fun with because it was an Arkham knockoff. And that's kind of undeserved. You know, it's not even their own, fucking idea there. And the crazy thing is that game came out in, I think, 2015 or 2016 was when Syndicate came out. Fucking long time ago. That game is old. That's almost a decade by now. And that's the last time I've played an Assassin's Creed title and been like, wow, this was a fun, good experience that I enjoyed all the way through, from start to end. You know, it's and that's a rare thing to see in gaming, now that I think about it, is a fun experience that you enjoy from start to end. Or at least a mediocre to fun experience. Now games pad shit with so much arbitrary nonsense, where it's impossible to have fun from start to end. At some point, oh, well, I gotta grind. At some point, I gotta do these quests that are just filler garbage that really had no thought put into them. At some point, this needs to happen. And it's horrible. And that's the state of gaming right now. But yeah, Ubisoft is a dying company. I don't see them lasting very long. Every single IP they make, they just completely neglect in favor of fucking R6, which I am convinced that the devs have no fucking idea what they're doing, because of course they fall into the average trap of the average fucking esports dev and try to somehow capitalize on an imaginary audience that doesn't exist, while also trying to prop up their esports team and focus on esports, essentially making the game unfun and shitty for literally everybody, and nobody likes it. And the only other game that they don't neglect other than R6 is Assassin's Creed, which, like I said, has just become this, you know, generic fucking jingling key title like every other modern game that's come out in the last couple of years, with absolutely no soul and no creativity and no identity of its own. And the Assassin's Creed series has really just been turned into mass appealing jingling key garbage, right? And it's this whole Yasuke thing is really just the dumbest straw to break the camel's back. And of course, this is another beautiful example of the ancient proverb of go broke. Go broke. You just start fucking broke. Well, I guess I'm broke. I'm just gonna go woke. You know what I mean? Fuck me. That's another take. Like where's the little? There we go. Now, of course, this is a new example of the ancient proverb of go woke, go broke. And yeah, of course, it is DEI. Of course, they are forcing him into this game merely because he is a black samurai, right? Merely because he is, well, black. The thing is this is, as I've said, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if done tastefully, if done properly, if they don't fuck this up, if they don't do it in a stupid way, because this is a story that can't be told with any figure in history at all, right? And there are a million examples, so many examples of DEI working, as long as it's done properly. Like I said, I don't think it's always a bad thing. I think sometimes to create an interesting story, maybe you might want to take the perspective of a minority group, do something different, you know, don't just appeal to the majority of people, and, you know, maybe tell a story through the lens of a certain demographic that isn't as prevalent, right? Oh, fuck. Holy shit. Now that I'm editing this, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. I can't believe that I missed this, because I swear to God, so like the reason you see me keep checking my phone, right? I'm not contacting bitches. Sadly, I don't get those. The reason I keep looking at my phone is because I have a list of notes, so I can keep on track and not lose the plot. I had one thing of notes that was specifically that DEI and like this, like, I don't know, woke kind of thing is not new to the Assassin's Creed franchise, and that's literally what Assassin's Creed 3 is. Assassin's Creed 3 is definitely you would probably consider a woke story, right? The main protagonist is a half Native American man. The whole general plot of the fucking storyline is like, you know, the theme of it is white man bad, white man come in and take our land, you know, that kind of fucking thing. And that's a woke story. Assassin's Creed 3 is what a lot of people probably would consider a woke game. Is taken from the lens of a minority. You know what I mean? So this isn't even something that isn't unfamiliar from Ubisoft or the Assassin's Creed franchise either. However, the problem with it, and why I think it gets such a bad rap, and like I said, most people roll their eyes when they see these kinds of things, is usually it's not done tastefully. Usually it's 9 times out of 10, it is used merely as a crutch to basically fill personality or, you know, add an arbitrary sense of depth to a character that really doesn't have any. More often than not, it's just used to compensate for, you know, a lack of character or personality or, you know, any interesting qualities about them at all, right? They're like, oh, we don't know, you know, what this guy's deal should be, make him gay, make him black, whatever it is, right? And that's usually how it's used by these lazy writers, essentially just trying to compensate for a lack of personality by, you know, slapping a minority sticker on them.
Playtime is over when Nikki drops in. Pull up in a monster automobile gangster.
There's no gameplay at all for this. We don't know the story. And now if the game comes out and the story comes out and it's pandering garbage that's just terribly written, makes no sense at all, and is extremely demeaning and just terrible across the board, and nobody likes the story, then sure, yeah, go nuts. Smash all of the Bud Lights you want. But until you play the story, until you've seen the story, until you actually know what it's about, chill the fuck out for a second, right? Just wait. Then when the story is out, then you can go and smash all the Bud Lights you want. I won't stop you. The police might, but I'm not going to stop you. Another thing people are really losing their minds over and criticizing this game for is it being set in feudal Japan. I don't know why people are, using this as an attacking point, considering that this is a popular theme, I guess you could say, a popular setting. And personally, I think it's been a long time coming. I don't know how this honestly wasn't done sooner, like a lot sooner than this, but people are really ragging on this. Like, there's so many fucking comments I see on Twitter and YouTube, like a concerning amount, like a shit ton, saying, oh, this is just Ghost of Tsushima. This is just Ghost of Tsushima. This is just a Ghost of Tsushima knockoff. Like, Ghost of Tsushima is the only video game ever, the only piece of media that's ever been set in feudal Japan. The only one. Feudal Japan is really an underrepresented setting, really, and the only significant video game that has been set in feudal Japan is Ghost of Tsushima, of course, right? It's really stupid, and it's just like people are calling it a knockoff and stuff, and it's especially even more retarded given that Ghost of Tsushima, given that we don't even know what the gameplay is. We don't know the gameplay. We don't know the story. As I've said, 4 fucking minutes. That's all we got. We got 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes of nothing, just to show the setting and the 2 characters we have. That's all we know. The setting and the 2 characters we have. We don't know the villains. We don't know anything. We don't know jack shit. We haven't seen a lick of UI. We haven't even seen the menu screen. We don't know anything. And people are going out here saying, don't buy this game. Don't play this game. Just play Ghost of Tsushima. When the gameplay could be 100% completely different. The story could be 100% complete. Well, it almost has to be 100% completely different, right? And it's ridiculous, and this just even goes to prove my point even further, that these days people really do not care as much as they pretend to do about the gameplay and the story. What most people do care about are the aesthetics and the graphics, the jingling keys to keep you entertained. Ooh, look at that, goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga, yay! That's what a lot of people, I think, are gravitating towards, and I can't fucking stand it. And that's how, as I've already said, that's how Assassin's Creed, that's how Call of Duty, that's how, these sports games, these shitty legacy games, right, that have been around for over a couple decades now, keep producing the same shitty product that nobody likes and everybody hates. Is because you guys keep fucking buying it. Regardless of how shitty the story is, regardless of how shitty the gameplay is, you don't care. You buy it because it has fucking The Boys and Nicki Minaj skin pack. What? It's ridiculous. And that's why I think that gaming has been so shitty, is because I think these big AAA companies have realized that. They've wised up to the fact that, hey, you know what? People actually don't care that much about the gameplay and story. They're going to buy our game, and no matter what, we shit out. So we can just shit out an annual game every year, $60-$70 now, and hey, they'll buy it. And, the few people who stick around will just become these whales, these krakens, and give us all the money we need. Even though the majority of people don't like it, you'll get these krakens who they don't care. They're here for the cosmetics. And essentially these game companies have been monetizing their $70 games like they're a gacha. And it's insane. It's insane that they get away with this, and it's even worse. It's even more insane that we accept this. And now, the thing is, like I said, they were doing this back in Assassin's Creed. There was, arbitrary... Assassin's Creed is a single-player game, a solely single-player game. I know they did dip their feet into PvP. I do remember that. It was fucking dog shit. But Assassin's Creed, when I buy an Assassin's Creed game, I'm in it for the single-player experience, right? That's what I'm coming for. That's what most people are coming for. It's a single-player experience game. It's a game that, whether or not I'm online or offline, I'm essentially having an offline experience with nobody else around, right? And the thing is, as I've said, they're in these new age, like I said, the new age Assassin's Creed games, like Origins and whatnot, they have started monetizing them similar to this shit. They've been adding, they have the what is the shopkeeper, Rita, who has these online shop, right, that will give you rare items that you can't really find, and you have to have a secondary currency, and you can buy the secondary currency. They try to do that shit instead of just making a quality $70 game and then trying to monetize it even further with DLC, extra content to add something to the game. The new model is now, just shitty cosmetics. And the thing is the vast majority of people are not going to buy these cosmetics. But those krakens, those whales, they're going to eat that shit up. Like I said, personally, I think the Assassin's Creed franchise, the Ubisoft, is out of ideas. And that's why they're doing a lot of what they're doing. That's why I think they're setting the game in feudal Japan, because they're like, oh, Sekiro's popular, Ghost of Tsushima's a popular game. These are popular games. This is a popular aesthetic. This is a popular thing that people like. Let's capitalize on that. They should have done it earlier. Like I said, I think I don't know how it hasn't already been done yet. I remember having a conversation with one of my friends who's also played like throughout the entire Assassin's Creed series like 5 years ago, and he's like, how the fuck have they not done a Japanese Assassin's Creed yet? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, they're gonna do it eventually. There's no way they're not. And WuUuaAah, here it is. The thing is I feel like they've kind of lost the plot. They're out of ideas, and that's why they're grasping at straws. That's why they're grasping at this whole feudal Japan nonsense, and that's why I think they're using this DEI. That's why I think they're going woke, as you would say, and having Yasuke in the game. I don't think they have anything interesting to tell. I think they're using this as a crutch because they're scared, and just like a cornered animal, just like flailing and thrashing. They think that this is a strategy that will help them, but as it turns out, it actually doesn't. And this is just going to make shit worse, right? The thing is they've completely lost the plot, but I think what happened, and this is what I'm bugged about, and this is what has pissed me off for so fucking long. What happened to those statues in the Sanctuary in Assassin's Creed 2? I thought, like, when I first saw that, however many years ago Assassin's Creed 2 was out, when I was, like, in fucking diapers, when I saw that shit, I was like, oh my god, these are going to be, like, the next characters, right? These are what the next games are going to be based on, or these statues. These will be the next games, and I thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh, like, that was in my mind, that they were going to set these characters up. And like I said, there's 7 statues, one of them being Altair. And we know absolutely dick all, nothing, except for the little excerpt that they give us in the game about, we know absolutely nothing about any of them except for 3. 3 of the 7 statues we actually have any like proper information on outside of the little excerpts that they give us in the game. And those ones are, of course, Altair, which is the first game. The second one is Amunet, which is in Assassin's Creed Origins. It's Aya, right? And then the third one is Darius, who is in the Assassin's Creed Odyssey DLC, which I doubt fucking anyone played. Like I said, Assassin's Creed Odyssey was, in my opinion, I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is worse than Valhalla. I think it's honestly the worst fucking Assassin's Creed in the entire franchise, and that's a pretty big fucking statement. Just IMO. And like I said, he was. Those are the only assassins we know about in those statues, in that tomb, and those are supposed to be like the greatest assassins of all time, or some bullshit like that, right? And that's all we've got. That's all the information we got. You know, and I think there's a lot to work with the extra 4 just from the little excerpt. But one that I wish did happen, and I think would be really cool, and awesome for the series, is and the only thing that I think that will ever bring me back to the Assassin's Creed series, other than just some amazing groundbreaking game, that's on like the scale of like something like Red Dead Redemption 2 or some shit like that. That's just like an instant hit, an instant classic. The only thing that will probably bring me back to the series is there's in one of them, from when I was like very first saw it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. They should totally make a game about this. Is a Mongolian Assassin's Creed. One of the statues, one of the guys, I forget what his name is. I'll probably just put it fucking somewhere in the ether. Was like a Mongolian archer or something, one of the assassins, and shot Genghis Khan's horse or some shit is basically the lore that they give. I think a Mongolian set Assassin's Creed game could be something very interesting, something that hasn't been done before. How many people? Raise your hand. Raise your hand nice and high. Please tell me in the comments, like please tell me if you have ever played a video game that's set in Mongolia, that is based around Mongolia. Tell me, because I'd love to fucking know, because I've never in my life have I played one, or even heard of one. So I think that would be definitely a very underrepresented area of the world, definitely something very interesting, and could be something very cool and badass that I think would definitely be worth making. But as I've said, we're kind of in a creative dark age. I really think a lot of the original visionaries of the Assassin's Creed franchise are just gone, and that's what goes for a lot of these recent games. And there's no soul, there's no heart in this. They're just trying to make money. They're just trying to shit out a product. And like I said, they've lost the plot. They don't know what they're making. They're out of ideas, even though the game has ideas, and they just don't really care.
I eat babies. I eat them every night. I eat them with barbecue sauce. And I flew to the moon last night with a witch, and I took DMT with Easter bunnies.
Anyway, that's pretty much about it for this controversy. It's really fucking stupid from start to finish. It's just really dumb. Don't buy the new Assassin's Creed on launch. If you're still here buying games from the Assassin's Creed series, what the fuck are you doing? Like what went wrong in your life? What traumatic experiences did you have to still be buying these games when they come out? And certainly don't fucking pre-order it. Don't pre-order games in general. I don't know why people do that. The only reason to do that is like if it's a game that you know for sure, like whether or not it is good or bad, like you are a 100% diehard fan, whether or not it's good or bad, you're going to buy it regardless. It's the only reason you should do it. But like there's so many people that just pre-order games because they're like, oh, this is going to be good. This game's going to be the one. And then it ends up to be shit, and they're like, this game's shit. I just pre-ordered this and wasted all my money for this. And it's like, yeah, that's on you, dude. But yeah, don't fucking pre-order the game. I don't know why you're buying an Assassin's Creed game in the current year anyway. But yeah, just wait for it to come out. Don't fucking lose your mind over this. Because it's honestly not worth it. And Ubisoft is not worth your attention. So, but the Assassin's Creed series is just, it's sad. It's been sad for a long fucking time. It's completely lost the plot. They have no idea where they're going with this. They're just churning out shit as fast as possible. Yeah, unless something very impressive comes out, an Assassin's Creed series, it's like, oh, this is a must-buy title. Like, you have to play this. Then I'm not fucking interested. I'm really not interested. I don't care. And the fact that it's only now is Assassin's Creed big fucking news, now that they, are doing this shit, is really just dumb. And like I said, it proves nobody gives a shit about gameplay. Nobody gives a shit about the story. People have made their judgments and know if they are going to buy the game or not just from a trailer. Without gameplay, without story, without anything. People have already made up their minds. They've already made up their decision. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you fucking never. Peace.